Hello, everyone. I believe that you're great and doing awesome today. So, we welcome to the book review of The Power of Inner Speech. So, this is our first book review, and we have three in this series. We have today, we have next week, and the week after that. So, in this book review, we're going to go through the important points of this amazing book, The Power of Inner Speech, and take the lessons from them so that we can apply in our daily life. So let's see the quick lessons from them. Now, actually, there are 9 chapters in this book, and with an introduction and how to use the book. So I assume that you have the book, and in case you don't have a copy of yours, well, I would suggest that you get it. So I'll be starting from the very first chapter, but I would like to assure you that both how to use the book and the introduction are very important notes. In fact, if I could give you a snapshot, how to use the book simply lets you understand that before you even open the book at all, you must start with a desire. You must have one thing you want at the back of your mind that you intend to use the book to use the instructions in the book to achieve. So you follow the instructions in the book, but following the instructions is not enough. You have to follow the instructions on an intentional desire. So start with something you truly want, and that's when you can really use the instructions of the book to achieve them. Actually, the instructions of the book always come back to, well, what do you want? Use this instruction for the desire that you've already created for yourself. So you have no choice but to have a desire in the first place. Second is um, the introduction lets us understand what inner conversations are. Inner speech is simply what you mentally hear in yourself, period. And we always, all of us, we always hear things in ourselves mentally. We're always speaking with people, or speaking about people, or speaking about events, speaking about circumstances and situations in our lives all day long. And when we begin to control what we are saying or what we are hearing in ourselves, that's when we begin to control the power of our inner speech. But otherwise, we're not harnessing this power. So let's move on now. Our first lesson, the lesson one in the book, if you've gone through it, it tells us the 4 principles of effective inner conversations. The first of the 4 principles is that it has to be attention grabbing. See, the way that your movie, your favorite series, movies, or novels grab your attention to the point that you're lost in space and time, just focused on what is going on and trying to see what's going to happen next and all of that. That's the way an effective inner speech is to grab your attention. Okay, the way maybe a movie can move you to tears or move you to laugh, if it's comedy, move you to happiness and joy and thrill and love and whatever, is the way an effective inner speech must be able to move you. You don't have to try to move it, it must move you. If it cannot hold your attention, it is not effective enough. The second thing about an effective inner conversation is that it has to be natural in daily conversations. Now, let's bring these two together because they actually come in, they follow one another. In fact, you could almost put the two of them as one. An effective inner speech is one that can grab your attention, which is used in daily conversation naturally, but they actually, in some ways, they separate. So let's take an example. Someone telling you the story of what happened in 1949 doesn't exactly grab your attention. You're not following. Okay, it's not important to you. But someone asking you a question of what you ate this morning definitely grabs your attention. Or someone asking you if you know the latest move of the political parties in your country could grab your attention. But someone asking you what happened to dinosaurs might not grab your attention if you're not a freak or a fan of dinosaurs. You understand? Okay, and at the same time, you don't read terms and conditions of Facebook before you sign up because it's not natural in daily conversations. It's very rare before you see a person go through the manuals of how to use any gadget, unless it's maybe a very high-tech gadget or something, because they're not natural in daily conversations. But you definitely see people following the news. because the news are natural. See, people read headlines because headlines are natural. Because headlines, well, you would see that they actually have things that make them feel come natural, like questions or like interjections. Okay. So an effective inner speech, well, these two are the conversation part or the speech part of inner speech. But these other two are the inner part of inner speech. So the first of the inner part is that an effective inner speech must always match your wish to its fulfillment. If it is not giving you the feeling or the vibe that, oh yeah, the wish is done, the wish is fulfilled, it is not effective inner speech. You have to change it. And then it also has to be spoken in imagination only. No word of it on your lips. This is not affirmations. Yes, you would see the word affirmation when it comes to never talking about inner conversations. But it only means, by affirmation, it means the words that actually imply the wish is fulfilled. In other words, when I create a conversation such as I have money, that is actually affirmation. It's affirmative. It is not I don't have money, which is not affirmative, which is negative. Do you understand? Otherwise, it is not affirmations that you speak on your lips. It is not journaling. It is not scripting. It is none of all of those things. It's not meditation work. It's none of those things. It's simply listening in your imagination, as if you heard someone speaking. Now, listen to tells us 2 techniques out of 5 by which we create effective inner conversations. The first is questions, and the second is exclamations. So the first technique, questions. Questions meet all the requirements of the first 2 principles, which is attention grabbing and natural in conversation, as we can see them here. Questions are attention grabbing. If you see a question, you necessarily want to feel, could you answer it or could you not? Because if you could answer it, you don't want to miss that chance to feel important in, well, either declaring the answer or in knowing the answer secretly, even though others don't know it. At any rate, if you can assure yourself that you have the answer to a question, you feel good. And if you cannot assure yourself that you know the answer to a question, then you want to pay attention so that you don't feel bad next time that that question might be asked. Which makes when you hear questions, you naturally feel inclined to listen. And people ask questions every day anyway. Did you know you ask questions every day? Oh, did I just make that conversation by a question right now? Yep, I just did. Okay, there we go. So certain questions, however, compel us to think from the wishful field. So we still have these 2 other parts, which is matching the wishful field and spoken in imagination only. So certain questions compel us to think from the wishful field, to think something good has happened, such as, isn't it wonderful that? There's no way I would hear, isn't it wonderful that in myself, and I'd be expecting something bad. I would necessarily expect good news. And that is, how did it happen that? Okay, well, this could actually mean good news or bad news. However, we can restrict it further to make us really feel the wish fulfilled by how did I, you, she, he, they become so fortunate to have, then spell it. How did you become so fortunate to become a millionaire, to have millions? How did I become so fortunate to be married? How did he become so fortunate to be happily married to a wonderful woman? All right, all of these they match the wish fulfilled in our imagination only. Okay, so those are questions. We also have exclamations, which work in a very effective way also. Exclamations meet the requirements of the first 2. When you hear wow on the street, do you know you turn back, you want to see who's saying wow and about what? Let's say you're scrolling on Facebook and you've been seeing all of these boring posts, then you're about to quit Facebook. Then you see one post, it has one comment, congratulations. Just congratulations. You know what you do? Even though you know that congratulations are created by Facebook algorithm, when people actually click a post, they see congratulations as a suggested comment, and then they comment it. Just tap congratulations and tap send, and it's comment. But you see congratulations, you don't think about all of that. That, oh, well, it's Facebook algorithm suggesting it to them. It may not be anything serious. You don't think all that. You go back to read the story. That's how powerful exclamations can be. which means they naturally grab your attention. Now imagine how much power you can work with yourself when you use them to grab your attention from within. All right. And they're also natural in conversations. I mean, even Facebook suggests them in comment sections. Now, certain exclamations make us curious to expect to hear something wonderful, such as congratulations, wow, thank you. But that is not enough. We must listen to them, including questions. We must rehearse them in our imagination only. We must listen to them within ourselves in our imagination only. If you hear someone saying thank you to another person on right over your desk, you're going to lift your head up, however busy you might be, to see what's happening. Why did they say thank you? For what? What just got delivered? Is it a new package? Is it this? Is it that? All right. So there you go. We naturally listen. Now imagine you heard thank you from a person that you would like to hear the wish fulfilled about them, and you heard them saying thank you in celebrating them. Or imagine you saying thank you to somebody, maybe for promotions, maybe for payment or something. Imagine you hear thank you from your clients every time who are telling you thank you for service well delivered. That's an effective inner speech, isn't it? Instead of arguing with your clients, such as they didn't want to pay, or they didn't want to buy a product, or they didn't want to do this, do that. No, don't understand with all of those things mentally when you can be busy mentally hearing them saying thank you or hearing yourself saying congratulations on securing your new slot, congratulations on getting our product, congratulations on getting the latest, or congratulations on getting the promotions. When you can say thank you to your boss for the promotions, thank you for the promotions, thank you for the review, thank you for the bonus. Why would you say anything else? So that's effective inner conversations. Lesson 3 takes us to two other types of effective inner conversations in our consciousness that we can use within us. The first of them is question tags, and the second is exaggerations. So, question tags, what are they? Well, you know what question tags are, don't you? I just used a question tag right there, don't you? You heard me use a question tag right now, didn't you? Oh, but I just used another question tag, didn't I? Oh, really? So I can actually do this all day long, can't I? Wow. You meaning to say question tags are so easy to use, aren't they? Well, there you go. We can use question tags all day long and not even get tired of using them in conversations. They're so natural. What's even more important or more amazing about them is that most of the times when I said, didn't you, don't I, aren't they, can't I, you actually are feeling like, yes, yes, yes. It takes resistance before you say no to a question tag. Resistance which most times are not even there with us. So we naturally feel our attention grabbed through consent in question tags, and we find them natural in conversations also. Now, negative question tags like aren't I, which means am not I, or didn't you, like did not you, haven't they, which means have not they. These are negative question tags, but they naturally evoke a positive response of yes, I am, yes, you did, yes, they have. Okay, so to evoke this response, we don't have to hear the yes in our inner conversations, but we feel our attention is focused on yes. And that's what we have to listen for. We have to listen to ourselves for this kind of inner conversations. I am rich, aren't I? You won, didn't you? They have achieved new records, haven't they? Instead of arguing with a person, ask mental conversations like this, mental questions like this. I I feel that actually arguments can be well substituted with question tags because they go directly to the ideal of disagreements, which is consent. All right, now let's see another one, which is exaggerations. Now that's our last for today. And then next week, we're going to be holding this session right on Zoom so that we can actually entertain questions that may come or arise from the review. And it's going to be just about 30 minutes long next week on Zoom. So watch out for that and watch out for the Zoom details in the group. So exaggerations, they effectively grab our attention to doubt. Well, I want you to really look at this. They grab our attention to doubt or question the exaggerated idea. Take note, the exaggerated idea. And we often use exaggerations in conversations. Exaggerations that are attached to a simple affirmation of the wish fulfilled shift our approved belief in favor of the wish fulfilled, meaning that although we are doubting the exaggerated idea, we're approving our belief for the wish fulfilled. Then, of course, we must listen to them in our imagination only. Let's use two examples to see what I'm meaning to say here, or what we really mean by these two here. I am so rich. Okay, that's the simple affirmation. Remember, just that statement is the affirmation, but not to say it on our lips. That's not affirmation. Affirmation means we affirm the greatness or we affirm the ideal to be true. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that I'm saying it on my lips, I'm shouting it aloud or saying it to the universe or scripting it down. Okay, so I am so rich is an affirmation. And I attach that on an exaggerated idea that I own two private banks in Europe, which is, well, maybe true or not, but you might doubt it. Or if I say I'm so rich that I own the treasury, the central bank of the country, or that I own the government bank, you might doubt that is ever true. Or I am so rich that the government um, takes financial advice from me. You might doubt that that is true, but you would actually believe that I am so rich. You would even think I am magnanimously rich. Isn't that so? Oh, well, she lost so much weight that a kite is now heavier than she is. Well, you would think, well, she is definitely heavier than a kite. You wouldn't believe this. A kite is heavier than she is, but you would also agree that she must have lost a lot of weight. Do you understand? So there we go. Exaggerations compel us to feel the wish fulfilled, just the same way that all of the other techniques are. Now, these are techniques. Questions, exclamations, question tags, exaggerations, they are techniques of inner conversation. Inner conversations itself is not a technique. You cannot stop doing it. I can stop a technique. I can stop using questions because I want to start using exclamations. I can stop using exclamations because I want to use question tags. I can stop question tags because I want to use exaggerations. But the conversations themselves, I cannot stop them. Therefore, the only choice I really have is whether to control them or not to control them. I still have a choice. I can choose to not control them. I'll just suffer the consequences of that, which is miscreation. And I can choose to control them, in which case I would experience all the positive results of controlled inner conversations. And I have proven by my own experience that every time I have a disagreement or an argument with someone mentally, it ends up physically. And every time I hold a loving conversation mentally, I end up having amazing results physically. And by the way, all the results that I have noticed, I've seen in my life, they've all started with inner conversations. Therefore, I'm encouraging you to not only get this book, which is actually on a wonderful, massive discount of 33% right now, but to actually go through it while you wait the release of The Power of Revision. And by the way, do pre-order The Power of Revision. That is also on 40% discount. That means getting the two books, you're having like 73% discount on both books for this whole month of March. So get it, pre-order it, and expect the best. Anyways, next week we're going to be carrying on with the book review. We're going to be having the second version of it next week. Until then, have a wonderful time and bye-bye.